Hello and welcome to another session of the My Solo 401k Financial, My Community Daily Webinar Series. We're excited to discuss E-Trade Solo 401k Review 2025, why self-directed plans beats the basic plan every time. If you have questions or topics on this topic or even unrelated topics, please go ahead and chat those over now, and we'll go through those sequentially. The presentation is being provided for educational purposes only and should not be construed as tax, legal, or investment advice, nor as a solicitation. When making an investment decision, please consult with your tax attorney and financial professional. So again, today's topic is E-Trade Solo 401k Review 2025, why self-directed beats the basic plan every time. Please go ahead and chat over any questions or topics that you do have now so we can make sure to get to those. In the meantime, we'll start to go through the slides. So the problem with the E-Trade Solo 401k, in other words, the number one complaint is that E-Trade Solo 401k plan is a prototype plan. So it doesn't support certain key features that many clients want. For example, the number one missing feature based on experience and client feedback is that E-Trade's plan does not allow you to make Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contributions. So the solution is to set up a self-directed Solo 401k plan. So a third-party plan like the one offered by my Solo 401k Financial that does allow for the features, the service that is wanted, such as the Mega Backdoor Roth, as well as many other features that are not available under the E-Trade plan, but that are available under the plan offered by my Solo 401k Financial. So the difference in the key to the understanding based on experience is that a Solo 401k is a trust, which means it's a legal entity, which means it's the documents that create the Solo 401k. So when someone has a basic Solo 401k plan from E-Trade, that means that they're using E-Trade's plan documents as well as having their accounts at E-Trade. So E-Trade's plan documents do not allow for the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k. They don't allow for a number of other features that are some of the top use cases for our customers. But what's interesting is that even though E-Trade offers their own basic Solo 401k plan, they will also open up accounts for third-party plans that are fully featured. So that means that you could have the fully featured plan, such as the one that allows for Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contributions, meaning the plan documents from my Solo 401k Financial, but have your accounts at E-Trade. And as part of the onboarding process, we help customers open up accounts at the bank or brokerage of choice, including at E-Trade. Keep in mind, even if you started out with the basic plan at E-Trade, you can upgrade or what they call restate your plan to a fully featured plan like the one offered by my Solo 401k Financial. So I think of that not as stopping one plan and starting a new plan, but rather the existing plan continues. It's as if those plan documents, those basic plan documents that are provided by E-Trade are cut out and replaced with our plan documents, our IRS approved plan documents that will allow you to do what you want to do, whether it's the Mega Backdoor Roth or other objectives. Now, in that scenario where someone is upgrading a basic Solo 401k plan at E-Trade to our fully featured Solo 401k plan, they will, of course, need new documents, as I described, but they'll also need new accounts. Because even if you want to continue to have your investments at E-Trade, it'll still need to be new accounts at E-Trade because from E-Trade's perspective, those existing accounts that pertain to your basic E-Trade Solo 401k plan, those existing accounts are governed by E-Trade's basic Solo 401k plan documents. So you need new accounts, which again, E-Trade supports, that are governed by our plan documents, and then transfer the cash and assets over from the pre-existing accounts to the new accounts. So in that scenario where someone's upgrading their basic Solo 401k plan at E-Trade to our plan, we will help open those new accounts. We'll pre-fill the paperwork to open up those new accounts, and then we'll pre-fill the paperwork that E-Trade requires to transfer the cash and assets over from the pre-existing accounts for your basic plan to the new account for the restated plan. So now let's start to go through some of those top complaints and reasons why the self-directed solo 401k plan beats the basic plan offered by E-Trade every time. So we've alluded to the first and probably most popular feature that's missing with E-Trade's plan, which is the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k. So let's take a moment just to explain that a bit more. So Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k is really an industry term that refers to making voluntary after-tax contributions to a solo 401k and then transferring those funds from the voluntary after-tax solo 401k account either to a Roth IRA or a Roth solo 401k. So it's a two-step process. First, you deposit the money into a separate voluntary after-tax account. And then step two, you move the after-tax solo 401k funds either to a Roth solo 401k or a Roth IRA. So the benefits is just like any Roth contribution is that you got that potential for tax-free growth. But what's great about the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k is that the contribution limits are so much higher. For example, they're 10 times how much one could contribute to a Roth IRA. But in order to be eligible to make those Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contributions, of course, you need to be eligible to set up a solo 401k. So you need to be self-employed with no non-owner, non-spouse, full-time W-2 employees. And then you need a plan that allows you to make those Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contributions. In other words, you need to have a solo 401k plan that allows for voluntary after-tax contributions and then an in-plan, in-service conversion of those voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds either to a Roth solo 401k or Roth IRA. So the problem with E-Trade's plan documents is they just simply do not allow for the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contributions. But our plan documents do. You can still have your accounts at E-Trade. So you definitely want to work with a provider. You'll need to work with a provider that offers a plan that supports the Mega Backdoor Roth Solo 401k contributions. But it's also going to make sense to work with a provider like us, like my Solo 401k Financial, that has deep experience in guiding clients through that process, because it is a specific process. So we help clients open the requisite number of accounts. In other words, we help clients open up multiple accounts at E-Trade, a pre-tax account, a Roth account, and then an after-tax account. And then moreover, we also help clients as an optional free service with the required tax reporting. So the first step, when you make that voluntary after-tax contribution, that doesn't need to be reported on the personal tax return or the business tax return. But the second step, when you move the money from the after-tax account either to a Roth Solo 401k or a Roth IRA, that does need to be reported. It needs to be reported on a 1099-R. And we handle that 1099-R as an optional free service for our customers. In other words, clients just need to let us know about that after-tax to Roth transfer in a timely fashion. We have an online form on our website that they can use to provide us the information. And then we'll handle that. We'll prepare the 1099-R as an optional free service. In other words, no additional charge. So another top use case for our clients that is not supported by E-Trade Solo 401k is the ability to invest in non-traditional assets. So alternative investments. These are true alternative investments. So of course, our plan does allow for investing in standard brokerage type investments like stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And again, we'll help customers open up accounts at the bank or brokerage of choice. So it could be a brokerage account at E-Trade, where it's going to have the same type of investment options you would have with a standard IRA, right? Private stock, or I should say public stock, mutual funds, ETFs, etc. But in addition, our plan would allow for true diversification into non-traditional assets like real estate, crypto, private equity, private stock, pre-IPO stocks, precious metals, etc. Next missing feature with the E-Trade Solo 401k plan that is supported by our plan documents are the $1,500 in tax credits. So when someone opens up a new Solo 401k plan with us, or even upgrades an existing plan, like upgrading a basic Solo 401k plan at E-Trade to our plan, their self-employed business will be eligible to claim $1,500 in solo 401k tax credits. That's $500 per year for 3 consecutive years. So in order to be eligible to claim those credits, the plan needs to include an automatic enrollment feature, as well as other notices and forms, which we automatically draft the plan documents to be eligible for the credit. So the feature is enabled, we provide the notices and forms, etc. Now, it's noteworthy that part of that feature, that auto enrollment feature, will set a default 3% contribution percentage. But the solo 401k owner, as the participant in the plan, has the right to opt out of the default 3% contribution percentage, which will allow that individual to contribute in whichever amount or schedule they prefer. But although they are exercising their right to opt out of the default percentage, the feature is still enabled. So even though they're opting out, they're still eligible to claim the credits. So you need to have a plan that has the feature. E-Trade's plan does not, our plan does. 5500 EZ support. So once the value of the solo 401k plan assets, including the value of any defined benefit plan that might be sponsored by the self-employed business, exceeds $250,000, there's an informational filing requirement referred to as a Form 5500 EZ that needs to be filed for the plan. So E-Trade is not going to handle that 5500 EZ for you if you have a basic solo 401k plan through E-Trade. Whereas we do handle that 5500 EZ as an optional free service for our customers. In other words, no additional charge. Moreover, we handle that via the electronic filing system to make it easy for the customer. Customers just need to let us know that the value has exceeded $250,000, and then we add their plan to the queue to prepare the 5500 EZ. In-plan Roth conversion and employer Roth. So our plan will allow for additional ways to accumulate funds in your Roth account. Number one, in-plan Roth conversion. This is also referred to as a Roth rollover, where the individual will transfer funds that are already in the solo 401k, but they're in the solo 401k in a pre-tax status, and then move the funds from the pre-tax solo 401k sub-account to the Roth solo 401k sub-account. Or it could be an in-kind pre-tax to Roth conversion. Now that conversion is going to move the funds or the assets from a pre-tax status to a Roth status. So that means it's going to be taxable for the year of the conversion. The individual will need to add that to their income for the year of the conversion. It's also going to be reportable on a Form 1099-R. But the benefit is now the money or the asset is in their Roth solo 401k sub-account. So all the subsequent gains have the potential for tax-free growth. Now we handle that reporting that needs to be done to report that in-plan taxable pre-tax to Roth conversion on a Form 1099-R. We handle that as an optional free service for our customers. Customers just need to let us know about that conversion at the time of the conversion so we can add it to the queue to prepare the 1099-R. Another way that customers are getting funds into their Roth solo 401k is by making Roth employer contributions. So since Secure Act 2.0, employer contributions can be made as Roth contributions, but your plan documents need to allow you to do that. So our plan documents do allow for employer Roth contributions. Checkbook control. So when someone has their basic solo 401k plan at E-Trade, that means the account is at E-Trade. And E-Trade will not give you checkbook control over your account assets. Whereas with our solo 401k plan documents, customers use those documents to open up the account at the bank or brokerage of choice. We're very hands-on in helping to get the account opened up. So they can open up, for example, a bank account where they have checkbook control. Or some of the brokerages like Fidelity and Schwab will provide a free checkbook associated with that account. Why would they want to have a checkbook? Well, if they're looking to access the funds for investment purposes, a lot of times they'll want to access those funds very quickly to take advantage of an investment opportunity. And if they have that direct checkbook access, now they can act quickly to jump on investment opportunities. The flexibility to open accounts. So as I've mentioned, we are hands-on in helping customers open up accounts. We don't have access to our clients' money, but we're still very hands-on in opening up the accounts. And we're totally neutral as far as where the accounts are opened up. So we've helped customers open up accounts at E-Trade, Fidelity, Schwab, just to name a few brokerage firms, as well as helping customers to open up accounts at hundreds of different banks and credit unions. It's noteworthy that you can have both bank and brokerage accounts for your solo 401k. So some clients may want to have a bank account to facilitate the alternative investments that they're making, but also still want to keep some of their solo 401k funds invested via a brokerage account in typical brokerage type investments, and that's totally fine. Different employer contributions. So this just continues to highlight how customization can be done with our plan, right? Customization in terms of different investments, customization in terms of pre-tax versus Roth versus Mega Backdoor Roth, and also customization in terms of different employer contribution amounts. So this would come up in a scenario where there are multiple participants in the solo 401k. So even though the solo 401k is referred to as a one participant plan, there are exceptions to that one participant requirement. One exception, probably the most common, is the spousal exception. So in other words, if someone has a spouse that's working in the business, reporting the spouse's own earned self-employment income, that spouse could participate in the solo 401k and it would still be considered a solo 401k. The spouse would have their own separate accounts into which they make contributions. The spouse's ability to make contributions will depend on the spouse's scenario, right? The spouse's age, the amount of self-employment income that individual has. So sometimes you have spouses that have different contribution objectives. So for example, one spouse may want to contribute the full employer contribution, say 25% of the W-2 wages that they receive from their self-employed business taxes and S-Corp. Whereas the other spouse may not want to make any employer contributions. They may want to just focus on Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k contributions. So our plan would allow for that customization where one spouse is contributing at one percentage, the other spouse is contributing at a different percentage. Whereas with E-Trade's basic solo 401k plan documents, it's not going to allow for that customization. The spouses will need to contribute the employer contributions, if any, in the same percentage. So 25% for both or 0 for both, etc. That takes us to the end of the slides for today. If there are questions, again, whether on this topic or even unrelated topics, please don't hesitate to chat it over. In the meantime, we ask you to please like this video. Please subscribe, as we do go live every day. If you subscribe, you'll get notifications of the topics that we like to share. You can come on and ask questions. You can hear what other folks are asking. Liking the video is also very much appreciated because that'll help us to get the word out to other self-employed individuals, other solopreneurs just like you. As you might imagine, there's a growing number of self-employed individuals. So there's a lot of folks that might be trying to catch up on their retirement savings, and this could be a powerful way for them to do that. So if you like the video, that'd help us to get the word out. We also invite you to our community. We have the largest community of solopreneurs, self-employed individuals around solo 401ks, over 30,000 members. So we have vibrant forums. We have a library of videos and webinars. So there's lots of ways to engage, lots of ways to learn, lots of ways to share the knowledge. All right, well, it looks like that takes us to the end of the presentation for today. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for the engagement. Until next time.